Welcome to A Doctor's Journey Navigating Life and Medicine with Coaching and Healthcare Innovation.
Welcome back to the deep dive. It is good to have you here. Today, we are opening up a file that, honestly, is probably the most personal thing we have ever tackled.
It's a real pivot for us, isn't it?
It really is. Usually, we're looking at external systems, economics, history, tech trends, things out there.
We dissect the world around us, but today we're kind of dissecting the mechanism that perceives that world.
Right, exactly. We are looking in here, inside the skull. We are talking about the voice in your head.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in some, metaphorical, poetic way. I mean the literal running commentary that kicks in at 3 a.m. when you're staring at the ceiling.
Or the voice that chimes in right after you send an important email to your boss.
Oh, that's the worst one.
It is the one telling you that you definitely used the wrong tone and you're probably going to get fired.
Yes, the internal narrator. And for most of us, let's be honest, it is not a kind narrator.
Not at all. It's rarely cheering us on. It's more of a critic.
It is a hostile narrator. I think every single person listening has felt like their own worst enemy at some point. You know what you should do, but you don't do it.
Right.
Or you know you shouldn't worry because worrying won't fix anything, but you just spiral anyway.
You can't stop it.
You can't stop it. It's like there's this total disconnect between your conscious intentions and your actual mental processing.
Exactly. And the source material we have today, which is, it's extensive. We've got program syllabi, psychological assessments, coaching guides, all around this concept called positive intelligence. And it suggests that this isn't just a personality quirk. It's not just who you are.
This is the hook for me. This is what really grabbed me. The sources argue that this is a glitch. It's a hardware issue.
A literal operating system error. And the argument, a really compelling one, is that most of us are running our lives on an outdated, virus-riddled operating system without even realizing it.
That is such a good way to put it. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack this PQ operating system. We are going to look at the war happening inside your brain.
A war is a good way to describe it.
On one side, you have what the sources call the saboteurs, the villains of the mind. And on the other side, the sage.
Right. The hero.
And we are not just going to talk about thinking happy thoughts. That's not what this is. We're going to look at the gym routine, the actual mental fitness exercises that these sources claim can physically rewire your brain to stop self-sabotage.
And that is the key distinction right off the bat, isn't it? The sources are so careful to separate positive intelligence, or PQ, from standard positive thinking.
Yeah, let's clear that up immediately, because I think when people hear a phrase like positive intelligence, they picture a cat poster that says, hang in there.
Right. Or someone telling you to just smile when your house is on fire.
Look on the bright side.
Just look on the bright side. But positive thinking is usually just an idea. It's a wish. You try to convince yourself to be happy. The sources here, they argue that mental fitness is biological.
Okay.
It's about neuroplasticity. It's about the physical structure of your brain.
So it's the difference between reading a book about how to do a push-up and actually having the pectoral muscles to push your body weight off the floor.
That's it. That's the perfect analogy.
You can read the book 10 times, but if you haven't done the reps, the bar is going to crush you.
Precisely. You can have the insight, I should be less critical of myself, but if you don't have the mental muscle to stop that neural firing pattern of criticism, the insight is useless.
It's gone in 5 minutes.
It's gone. You'll be back to criticizing yourself 5 minutes later. The insight is the map. The muscle is the vehicle.
Okay, so let's get into the specs of this operating system then. The core metric here is PQ. We all know IQ, which is your cognitive intelligence. We know EQ, emotional intelligence. What exactly is PQ?
So PQ stands for Positive Intelligence Quotient. And in the simplest terms, from the source material, it's a measure of your mental fitness.
Okay.
It is the percentage of time your mind is acting as your friend versus your enemy.
Wow. That is a confronting number to try and calculate for yourself. The percentage of time my mind is actually on my team.
It is. And the sources have an assessment for it. If your PQ is 75, it means 75% of the time your mind is serving you, and 25% of the time it's actively sabotaging you.
And is there a magic number? A target?
There is. The tipping point, according to the research in these documents, is that 75 mark. Below that, the negative vortex tends to suck you down.
A vortex?
Yeah, they describe it like a vortex.
No.
Above that, you have enough lift to maintain a positive upward spiral.
So it's like It's like aerodynamics.
Think of it exactly like aerodynamics. If you don't have enough speed, enough PQ, then gravity, which is the natural negative bias of the brain, pulls you down. But if you hit that tipping point, you achieve lift. And the claim is that this score isn't fixed. It's not like your height. It's like your body fat percentage. It can change.
It's highly variable based on training. And this brings us right to the core mechanism that's described in the syllabus we have. It all centers on neuroplasticity.
This is where we get into the why.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to change? The source material explains why insight alone fails. And it's so brilliant. Think of your brain as a dense jungle. If you have a thought pattern you've used for 20 years, say worrying about money whenever a bill arrives, that neural pathway is like a 12-lane superhighway cut through that jungle.
It's paved, it's lit up, it has rest stops, it's the easy route.
It is the path of least resistance. The neurons invoke something called Hebb's law, basically. Neurons that fire together, wired together, they're wired tight.
And the positive thought, the sage thought, what is that in this analogy? A guy with a machete hacking through the vines.
Exactly. It's a tiny overgrown dirt path that you haven't walked on in years.
Yeah.
So when stress hits, when the pressure is on, the electricity in your brain is, well, it's lazy. It wants the easy route.
Of course.
It's going to zoom down the superhighway of anxiety. It is physically difficult for the electricity to take that little dirt path.
So when we beat ourselves up for failing to be positive, we're essentially beating ourselves up for the laws of physics. We're mad that the electricity didn't jump the track.
Right. You are trying to drive a car through a dense jungle when there's a perfectly good highway right next to it. It's not going to happen.
So you have to build a new road?
You have to build a new road.
Yeah.
The source material emphasizes that to change this, you need muscle building. You have to physically widen that dirt path into a road and let the old highway overgrow with weeds. You have to physically change the wiring.
And that takes reps. It's not an epiphany, it's a workout.
It takes reps. The program referenced in these materials prescribes consistent daily practice, specifically 15 minutes a day for 6 weeks, to actually physically alter the brain's default setting.
15 minutes a day. That's it.
That's the core practice.
Yeah.
And they claim you can see the difference in MRI scans. The gray matter in the sage regions of the brain actually changes volume, and the regions associated with saboteurs quiet down.
That's incredible. Okay, so we need to build muscles. The system breaks this down into 3 core muscles. If we want to install this PQ operating system, we need like 3 hardware upgrades. Let's walk through them one by one.
Okay, the first one is the saboteur interceptor muscle.
Which sounds like a specialized military unit. Or maybe a sci-fi defense shield.
And it functions very much like a defense shield. It's essentially your radar system.
Okay.
Most of us live our lives on autopilot. We're in a bad mood, we're snapping at our spouse, we're stressed about work, and we think that's just reality.
Yeah, I'm stressed because the situation is stressful.
Right. Well, of course I'm mad the situation is annoying. We don't realize we're being sabotaged by our own minds.
We think the problem is the spouse or the job. We don't see the lens we are looking through.
Correct. The saboteur interceptor is the part of your brain that wakes up and says, alert, you are currently in a negative pattern. This is not reality. This is a saboteur.
It's the awareness piece.
It's pure awareness.
Yeah.
You can't fight an enemy you don't see. This muscle is purely about catching them in the act.
Okay, so that's the early warning system. It pings you. Hey, you're spiraling. What is muscle number 2?
That would be the sage muscle. If the interceptor stops the bad stuff, the sage handles the good stuff. This is the region of your brain associated with positive emotions, empathy, creativity, gratitude, and clear-headed focus.
So this is the engine that actually solves the problem, the one you switch to.
Yes. The saboteur brain is for survival. It's great for running away from a tiger, but it's terrible for solving complex business problems or navigating a marriage.
Right, fight or flight isn't great for a budget meeting.
It's terrible for a budget meeting. The sage muscle allows you to access your higher cognitive functions, the prefrontal cortex, rather than dropping into the amygdala's fight or flight response. Strengthening this muscle means you can handle challenges with a clear, calm mind.
Okay, so you intercept the bad, you activate the good. What's the third muscle?
The self-command muscle, and this is the pivot point. It is the ability to consciously switch tracks.
The steering wheel.
It's the steering wheel. It's great to notice you're angry. That's the interceptor. And it's great to know you could be calm. That's the sage. But you need the sheer mental strength to force the switch in the heat of the moment. That is self-command.
So it's the bridge between the two.
It is the bridge.
Yep.
And it's often the hardest muscle to build because when the saboteurs are raging, they do not want to give up the microphone.
I can imagine. And the goal, the end state described in the kickoff overview document we have, is to become PQ powered.
Right. Being PQ powered means you've internalized this OS. You aren't white-knuckling it anymore. You've built the habits so that you consistently catch the saboteurs and shift to the sage almost automatically.
And the result of that?
The source describes the result as achieving your life goals with ease and flow rather than stress and struggle.
That phrase, ease and flow, is interesting because I think a lot of high performers, people who would listen to a deep dive like this, are suspicious of ease. We are taught that value comes from struggle. If it's easy, you aren't working hard enough. No pain, no gain.
And that belief, that exact belief, is a saboteur lie. And it is a lie that leads directly to burnout.
Well, that's a perfect transition. Let's talk about the bad guys, because if we're going to intercept them, we need to know what they look like. The sources describe this whole hierarchy of saboteurs, and there is one ringleader, the Darth Vader of the mind.
A judge.
The judge. The sources are incredibly emphatic about this point. Everyone has a judge. It doesn't matter if you had the most perfect childhood, or if you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or a monk living in a cave. You have a judge.
Yes, the source material calls the judge the master saboteur. It is the universal enemy. It's the original cause of so much of our anxiety, our distress, and our suffering.
It's the original sin of the mind, in a way.
It is, and it's sneaky. If you're sitting there right now thinking, you know, I don't think I have a judge, I'm pretty chill, that is just your judge judging the concept of the judge to keep himself hidden.
That's very meta. I'm too smart for this. That's the judge talking. So break down the judge's MO. What is it actually doing all day? Because it feels like it's doing a lot.
It is working overtime. It has 3 specific targets. It is constantly scanning for faults, for what's wrong in 3 areas. First, it judges the self.
The inner critic.
I'm kidding.
The classic. The one we all know.
The classic. I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter. I need to work harder to be worthy.
Yeah.
This is the voice that beats you up when you make a typo or say something awkward in a meeting. It keeps you small. It creates shame. It's relentless.
Okay, so that's target number 1. What's number 2?
It judges others.
Ah, yes.
He's lazy. She's incompetent. They are trying to take advantage of me. This is the source of almost all relationship conflict. It creates this feeling of moral superiority or, just constant disappointment in everyone around you.
And it stops you from seeing what's good in them.
Completely. It prevents you from seeing people's strengths because you are hyper-focused on their flaws.
And the third target, this is the one I think people miss sometimes. We know we judge ourselves and others, but this third one is so much broader.
It judges circumstances.
The situation itself.
The situation itself. This traffic is terrible. This weather's ruining my trip. My job is awful. It is the constant rejection of reality as it is. It operates on the logic of, I will be happy when.
Oh, that's a dangerous game. I will be happy when I get the promotion.
Right. I will be happy when the house is renovated. I will be happy when my kids are out of this phase.
And until then?
And until then, the judge says, this current moment is bad. It's wrong. It shouldn't be this way. It effectively postpones your happiness to a future that never, ever arrives.
Because there's always a new circumstance to judge.
Always.
But here is the pushback, and the sources address this head-on as the justification lies. Because I can hear the listener thinking, okay, but if I don't judge myself, won't I just become a lazy slob? Don't I need that voice to kick my butt into gear?
Yes.
If I'm happy with my circumstances, why would I ever try to improve them?
That is the single most dangerous trap of the judge. It lies to you to stay in power. It convinces you that it is necessary for your success. And the source lists 3 specific powerful lies that we need to dismantle.
Let's hear them.
Lie number 1 is exactly what you just said. Without me pushing you, you will get lazy and complacent.
It feels true, though. I mean, fear of failure is a pretty strong motivator. I studied for exams because I was afraid of failing.
It is a strong motivator, no doubt. But the sources draw this beautiful distinction between push and pull.
Okay.
The judge uses fear, shame, and guilt to push you. It's like dirty fuel. Imagine running a high-performance sports car on low-grade, sludge-filled gasoline.
It'll run for a while.
It'll run. You might even go fast for a bit, but you are clogging up the engine. You get the promotion, but you have ulcers, you're burned out, and you hate your life.
So the alternative isn't laziness. That's the false dichotomy the judge presents.
Correct. The alternative is the sage. The sage pulls you through passion, purpose, curiosity, and the joy of the activity itself. It's clean energy.
Mm-hmm.
You work just as hard, maybe even harder, but you aren't exhausted by the emotional friction. You're drawn toward the goal rather than running away from the fear of failure.
That's a key insight. Emotional friction. I love that term. It takes so much energy to beat yourself up. That's energy not going into the work.
Exactly. Which brings us to line number 2. Without me punishing you for mistakes, you will not learn.
The self-flagellation model of personal growth.
It's the bad dog theory of self-management. This is the idea that if you don't feel terrible about a mistake, you're destined to repeat it.
If I don't shame myself for eating that cake, I'll eat the whole bakery.
Yes. If I don't hate myself for losing that deal, I'll lose the next one too.
But that's not how learning works, is it?
It's the opposite. Neurologically, shame actually inhibits the learning centers of the brain. When you are in shame, you are in defense mode. You're not analyzing why you ate the cake. You're just calling yourself fat.
You're not analyzing the data.
No. You aren't analyzing why the deal fell through. You're just calling yourself a loser. The sage approach is curiosity. I was stressed, so I ate the cake. How can I manage stress differently next time? That is how you actually learn.
It's a postmortem without the blame.
Exactly. And the third lie.
Lay it on me.
Without me scaring you about the future, you won't work hard to prevent bad outcomes. This is the lie of anxiety.
The great confusion between worrying and preparing.
Yes. We confuse worrying with caring or preparing.
Mm-hmm.
We think if we aren't worrying about our kids, we are bad parents. We think if we aren't losing sleep over the quarterly report, we aren't dedicated employees.
But worry is just the judge catastrophizing. It's not actual preparation.
Correct. Preparation is looking at risks and making a plan. That's a sage activity. It's rational. Worrying is spinning in circles, imagining the worst-case scenario over and over again. It paralyzes you. It actually reduces your ability to handle the problem when it arrives.
So the judge is the boss, but he has henchmen, the accomplice saboteurs, as the sources call them, and there's a whole gang of them.
Yes. While we all have the judge, the accomplices vary. We usually develop 1 or 2 dominant ones in childhood as survival strategies. The sources list 10 total, but let's look at some of the ones that really wreak the most havoc in a professional setting.
Okay,
These are the specific flavors of self-sabotage.
let's start with the avoider. Because I think procrastination is something everyone battles, but the source frames it as a very specific personality defense mechanism.
The avoider is the voice that says, "This is uncomfortable, let's do it later." It focuses only on the pleasant. It avoids conflict. It avoids difficult tasks. It avoids negative feelings. It's the one that pretends everything is fine when the house is burning down.
And the lie it tells is, I'm just keeping the peace, or I work better under pressure.
Right. But the cost, as detailed in the impact documents, is massive. Problems fester. What could have been a 5-minute uncomfortable conversation turns into a lawsuit or a divorce because it was avoided for 2 years.
And internally, what does that do to the person?
Internally, the avoider lives with a constant low-grade hum of anxiety because deep down they know the thing is looming. They are never truly at rest.
Okay, what about the controller? This seems like the polar opposite of the avoider.
It is. The controller runs on the anxiety that if they don't control every single detail, chaos will ensue. They cannot delegate. They cannot trust. They believe that no one else can do it as well as they can.
I've had bosses like this. It is absolutely suffocating.
It's terrible for the team. And the source material is brutal here. The controller stifles the growth of everyone around them. You create a team of dependents who just wait for orders because they're afraid to take initiative.
And for the controller themselves.
It's a recipe for burnout. You are trying to control reality, which is statistically impossible. You are constantly fighting the tide. It's exhausting.
And then there is the hyperachiever. This one is so tricky because in our culture, this looks like a virtue. These are the high flyers, the ones winning all the awards.
They're often the most successful people on paper, absolutely. But the source material highlights the tragedy of the hyperachiever. Self-acceptance is conditional. It is transactional.
I am only worthy if.
If I am winning, if I am top of the class, if I make the sale. The problem is the goalposts always move. You win the award, you feel good for 10 minutes. Literally, the dopamine hit is very short. And then the judge steps in and says, okay, that's done. What have you done for me lately? You're already falling behind.
It's a treadmill you can never get off.
It is a state of fleeting satisfaction. And it kills relationships because the hyperachiever often views people as tools to get tasks done. They prioritize doing over being. They don't know how to just hang out and connect. They need to be achieving something.
The sources also mention quite a few others. There's the stickler, who is obsessed with perfection and order, driving everyone crazy with minor details.
Right. The stickler takes doing it right to an extreme where right becomes more important than the people involved or the actual goal. It causes so much rigidity and frustration.
And there's the pleaser, who loses their own needs completely in trying to gain acceptance from others.
Which leads to massive resentment. The pleaser gives and gives, but secretly expects reciprocation, and when they don't get it, they become bitter and passive-aggressive.
Then the victim. Poor me.
The victim uses suffering to get attention and affection. It's a way of saying, look how hard I have it. But it keeps you stuck in the suffering, because if you get better, you lose your identity.
Wow. And the graphic in the source material summarizes the cost of all these saboteurs so beautifully. It's not just about feeling bad. It categorizes the damage into 3 buckets: wellness, relationships, and performance.
That performance piece is key for the skeptics. It's not just woo-woo feel-good stuff. If I'm using 50% of my brain power to fight my own anxiety, like the avoider does, or to beat myself up like the judge does...
And that's 50% of your CPU that is not solving the problem in front of me.
Exactly. It is vital energy wasted. It's like driving with the parking brake on.
That's a great analogy.
You are pressing the gas, you're putting in the effort, but the brake, the saboteur, is creating all this friction. You might move forward, but you are burning out the engine and you aren't going very fast.
The PQ operating system is about releasing the parking brake.
That's it. That's the whole game.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the malware, we see the judge and the saboteurs, we understand the cost. Now let's talk about the fix, the shift. The sources describe a moment called the fork in the road.
This is the pivotal moment of self-command. An event happens. A stimulus. Maybe you lose a big client. Maybe you spill coffee on your white shirt right before a big meeting. In that split second, you have a neurobiological choice.
Path A versus Path B?
Path A is the saboteur response, the superhighway. The judge screams, "This is BD."
Yeah.
The stress chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline flood your system.
Yeah.
You get angry, you panic, you blame, you spiral.
And Path B is the sage response. And this is where the source material gets, really provocative. Path B is, this is a gift.
This is a gift.
Now, I have to stop you there, because this is where the skeptical judge in my own head starts shouting, this is a gift. I just lost a major client. My revenue is down. How on earth is that a gift? That sounds like toxic positivity. It sounds like delusion.
And that is a very common, very rational reaction. But the source clarifies this beautifully with what they call the Stallion Story. It's an ancient Chinese fable that illustrates the sage perspective perfectly.
I love a good story. Lay it on us.
Okay. So there's an old farmer who lives with his son. They're poor, but they have one magnificent stallion. It's their pride and joy, their only real asset. One day the stallion runs away. It's gone.
Disaster.
Total disaster. The neighbors come by, wringing their hands, saying, "This is terrible. What bad luck. You've lost everything." And the farmer says...
The farmer just shrugs and says, who knows?
Stoic. He's not buying into the drama.
Not at all. A week later, the stallion returns. But he hasn't just come back. He's led a dozen wild mares back into the corral. Suddenly, the farmer is rich.
Amazing.
The neighbors come back, cheering, incredible! What good luck! You're a wealthy man! And the farmer says,
Oh, knows.
who knows? Then, the farmer's son tries to tame one of the wild mares. He's thrown off, and he breaks his leg. Badly. It's a permanent injury. Ouch. The neighbors must be back with the bad luck story.
They are. What a tragedy. Such bad luck. Now your son can't help on the farm. And the farmer says, who knows? A few weeks later, the army marches through the village. A war has started. They are conscripting every able-bodied young man. They take all the neighbors' sons.
Not the farmer's son.
They pass over the farmer's son because of his broken leg. Most of the neighbors' sons die in the war. The farmer's son lives.
So the moral is, we are absolutely terrible at predicting the future.
The moral is that the judge judges a tiny, narrow slice of time. It looks at the horse running away and screams, bad. It doesn't see the mares coming next week. It looks at the broken leg and screams, disaster. It doesn't see the army coming down the road.
We never know the full picture.
Never. Celebrating prematurely or despairing prematurely is just the judge pretending to be a psychic.
But the source makes a really, really important distinction here, right? Because the farmer in the story is just waiting. He's passive. He's just watching things happen to him. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I'll just sit here on my porch.
Yes, and this is critical. The sage perspective in PQ is not passive. It is an active, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay, what does that mean?
You don't just sit back and wait to see if the lost client turns into a gift. You make it a gift.
You make it a gift. That's the agency. That's the power.
The phrase used in the guide is, every outcome or circumstance can be converted into a gift or opportunity. It is an active choice. You can spend your energy mourning the lost client, blaming your team, and spiraling in negativity.
Which is what most of us do.
Which is the default. Or you can use your energy to say, okay, this happened. What is the gift here? Maybe this frees up capacity for that bigger client we've been chasing who conflicts with this one. Maybe this revealed a flaw in our service that we can now fix, which will save us 10 clients in the future.
Maybe this forces us to pivot to a more profitable business model.
Exactly. It's alchemy. It's turning lead into gold.
It is. And it's practical. It's not just a nice idea. If you believe it's a disaster, your brain shuts down. It goes into survival mode. If you believe there is a gift to be found, your brain's creative centers light up to find it. You are hacking your own cognitive resources. And the sources define the sage not just as an attitude, but as accessing specific powers. The outline highlights 3 gifts specifically: empathize, explore, and innovate. Let's break those down.
Okay, empathize is first. This is feeling and showing appreciation, compassion, and forgiveness. But the source notes something really interesting. Empathizing with oneself is often the hardest thing to do.
Because the judge is standing guard.
He's the bouncer at the door of your heart.
The judge hates self-empathy. It calls it soft. It says, if you are kind to yourself, you're weak. You're letting yourself off the hook.
Right. But the sage knows that self-empathy is the recharging station. If you are beaten down, you can't perform. You need to recharge with compassion to get back in the fight. Think of a child who scraped their knee. You don't yell at them for falling.
No, you comfort them.
You comfort them so they can stop crying and get back to playing. You need to do that for yourself.
Okay, so empathize is the first gift. Then we have explore.
Explore is all about discovering the fuller truth. The judge thinks it knows everything. This client left because they hate me. Full stop. That's one data point.
And probably a wrong one.
Probably. The sage asks, what else might be true? The source uses the elephant fable here.
The blind man and the elephant.
Yes. One blind man touches the tail and says, it's a rope. Another touches the leg and says, it's a tree. Another touches the side and says, it's a wall.
They're all right based on their limited data.
But they are completely wrong about the big picture. The judge is the blind man holding the tail, screaming that the world is a rope. The sage is the one who puts the pieces together to see the whole elephant. It asks questions rather than jumping to conclusions.
I love that. And finally, innovate.
This is using creativity to move forward. Once you have empathized, you've stopped the emotional bleeding and explored, you understand the situation from multiple angles, then you can innovate a solution.
And there's a specific order there.
A very specific order. You cannot innovate when you are in saboteur mode.
Yeah.
The creative brain physically shuts down under stress.
Right.
You have to be in sage mode to access genius.
Okay, so we have the theory. This all makes sense. We want to move from saboteur to sage.
Yeah.
But how? This is the mental fitness part. We can't just wish it to happen. The sources talk about the PQ gym.
This is where the rubber meets the road. And it's so simple, it's almost deceptive. You cannot think your way out of a saboteur attack.
You can't out-argue the judge.
You can't. The judge is a master debater. He will win every time. You have to shift your physiology. This brings us to the PQ rep.
A PQ rep, it's like a bicep curl for your brain. What exactly is it?
A PQ rep is defined as shifting as much of your attention as you can to your body and your 5 senses for at least 10 seconds.
Just 10 seconds. That seems, I don't know, too short to do anything meaningful.
It's not about duration. It's about the intensity of the focus. The goal is to quiet the saboteur voice in your head and activate the sage brain.
How does that work biologically?
When you focus intensely on a physical sensation, it physically shifts blood flow and electrical activity away from the survival brain, the amygdala, where the saboteurs live, and into the command center, the prefrontal cortex, where the sage lives. It's a circuit breaker.
Can you give us some examples from the PQ gym source? I want the listener to be able to try this right now as they're listening.
Absolutely. The most common one is tactile. Take 2 fingers, your thumb and forefinger, and rub them together. But don't just do it mindlessly while you're thinking about other things.
Right.
Do it with such intense attention that you can feel the individual ridges on your fingertips, the little whirls.
I'm doing it right now. And it really does force you to stop thinking. You can't really think about your email and feel the ridges at the same time.
The brain can't do both. It's a biological switch. Another great one is audio. Just close your eyes for a moment. Listen for the farthest sound you can hear. Maybe a car down the street or a bird outside. Now shift to the closest sound you can hear. maybe the hum of your computer or your own breathing. That shift requires intense focus.
Or movement. The source mentions feeling the weight of your feet on the floor, or the sensation of your butt in the chair.
Exactly. Any physical sensation works. So the strategy isn't to analyze the negative thought, it's to drop the mic and focus on your fingertips. It cuts the power to the saboteur.
The sources then outline a formula for success to put this all together. It's like a 4-step process for when you get triggered.
Right. So you're in a meeting, someone criticizes your work, and you feel that hot flush of anger. What do? Step 1, catch the judge.
Just notice it.
Just notice it. You label it. You say to yourself, oh, that's the judge, or oh, the controller's here. Just labeling it creates distance. You realize you are not the feeling. You are the observer of the feeling.
Step 2 is the one I find so counterintuitive. Celebrate.
Yes. Sage step 2, celebrate. The source says to take 10 seconds to celebrate catching it.
But I just had a negative thought. Why am I celebrating? I feel like I failed. Oh, great. I'm judging again. I'm so bad at this.
And that thought right there, that is the judge hijacking the recovery. Very sneaky. If you judge yourself for having a negative thought, you are in a double saboteur spiral. You celebrate because you woke up. Most people spend their whole lives asleep in the negativity. You noticed it. That is a victory.
And it changes the brain chemistry.
It releases dopamine, which helps energize the sage. It teaches your brain that catching the saboteur is a good thing to do.
Okay, I can see that. It reframes the moment from failure to success. So I catch it, I give myself a mental high five. Step 3.
PQ reps. Do the work. Rub the fingers. Listen to the sounds. Feel your feet on the floor. Do enough reps until you feel your body physically calm down, until the anxiety lifts.
And step 4.
Sage action. Now that you are calm, now that your higher brain is back online, decide what to do. Act from a place of clarity, empathy, and innovation, not from fear and anger.
It sounds simple, but I'm guessing it's not easy. The sources emphasize that this requires consistent daily practice. It's a lifestyle, not a pill you take once.
Absolutely. The program structure they outline involves a daily focus. Listening to a short audio session in the morning to set your intention for the day. Then hitting the PQ gym throughout the day, little 2-minute breaks to do reps.
It's like interval training for the mind.
That's a great way to put it. You can't just go to the gym once a year and expect to be fit. You have to go consistently.
And the sources also mention pod meetings. What are those?
This is the community aspect, which is so important. Meeting weekly with a small group of other people who are also practicing. Because the judge thrives in isolation.
Right. It wants you to think you're the only one who feels this way.
Exactly. But when you share, hey, my judge really beat me up yesterday, and someone else says, me too, here's what mine said, the shame just evaporates.
Let's talk about real-world application, because we have some listeners who are probably thinking, this sounds great for my personal anxiety, but does this really work in a cutthroat business environment? If I start rubbing my fingers in a board meeting, am I going to lose my edge?
And the sources have a whole section on real-world applications that addresses exactly this. And the claims are bold. Take stress management. One source document states, and I'm quoting here, discover how your stress is entirely generated by saboteurs.
Entirely. That's a massive claim. Surely deadlines create stress. Surely competitors create stress. The economy creates stress.
The argument is that the event is just the event. The deadline is just a date on a calendar. It has no emotional content. It is neutral.
Okay.
The stress comes from the judge telling you you won't make it, or the victim saying it's not fair that I have so much work, or the hyperachiever screaming it has to be perfect or you're a failure.
So if you remove the saboteur from the equation?
You still have the deadline. You still have the work to do. But you have laser focus instead of stress. You have urgency but not anxiety. The source calls stress drag. It's friction. If you eliminate the drag, you move faster. You are more efficient.
I like that distinction. Stress isn't fuel, it's drag. What about in relationships and conflict?
This is huge. The judge creates defensiveness. If I come at you with my judge, you messed up this report, you're so careless, what happens?
My judge immediately wakes up to defend me. Well, your instructions were unclear. You're a bad manager.
And now we have a judge-on-judge war.
World War III in the conference room.
Exactly. No problems get solved. We're just defending our egos.
Yeah.
But if I can catch my judge, do some PQ reps, and then use the sage power of empathy, I can see you're struggling with this report. Help me understand the roadblocks. What happens then?
It completely changes the dynamic. You create a safe environment.
Vulnerability becomes possible. And trust is built on vulnerability. It's a game changer for any relationship, personal or professional.
The sources also mentioned team architecture. What does that mean?
This is about recognizing that different people have different strengths and different saboteurs. If I'm a hyperachiever manager, I might look at a team member who is more cautious and thoughtful. Maybe they have a strong stickler, and I might judge them as slow or lazy.
Right. Why aren't you moving as fast as I am?
But if I activate my sage, I can see that their caution is actually a gift. They are the risk manager on the team. They protect the team from my rash, hyperachieving decisions. I can move from "you're annoying and slow" to "we need your perspective to succeed."
That is a fundamental shift. It changes the culture from one of conformity to one of healthy creative tension.
And a PQ-powered culture is one where people feel safe to admit mistakes.
Yeah.
Because they know the judge isn't going to execute them for it.
Yeah.
And if you can admit mistakes, your team learns faster. You innovate more. You win.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today. I feel like we've installed a new piece of software in my own brain just talking about it.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. We've unpacked the PQ operating system. We've met the villain, the judge, and his accomplices like the avoider and the controller. We've seen the fork in the road and the choice to use the Stallion Story to find the gift. And we've learned the workout. Catch, celebrate, PQ reps, act.
It is a comprehensive system. And what I appreciate most about all this source material is that it's realistic. It doesn't promise that bad things will stop happening.
No, the stallion will still run away.
The client will still fire you. The coffee will spill.
The coffee will always spill.
It will. But the operating system gives you a choice in how you process the spill. The saboteur looks at the spill and builds a prison of anger and ruin and blame.
And the sage?
The sage looks at the spill and asks, what can we build with this?
It builds a gift.
It builds a gift every time.
I want to leave our listeners with a challenge, a provocative thought to take into the rest of your day, your week. We all have something dragging us down right now, a problem that feels stuck.
Yes. Think of the worst thing that happened to you this week. The thing your judge is still chewing on, still replaying.
Now recall the farmer. Who knows? If you applied the sage perspective actively, not passively, what is one way, just one way, you could turn that specific struggle into a gift right now.
Not in 10 years. Not when you look back on it.
Yeah.
Right now.
Maybe the gift is knowledge. Maybe the gift is resilience. Maybe it's an opportunity to connect with someone else who is struggling with the same thing.
The choice is yours.
But you might need to do a few PQ reps. Rub those fingertips together before you can see it.
Indeed. Get to the gym.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.